okay, I have to do something. And if I'm honest, then, okay. I'm just gonna talk about the mind in a clean state, and I'm gonna do, I think, artwork at the same time. Or I could do a yoga session. Okay. Because I have so much stuff to do that I realize again and again that it's really good that I'm working ahead, if you know what I mean. Because now it's not just this anymore, you know, whatever I'm doing here, which is socializing, is I'm expanding. And more people, in a way, also rely on me for a tussle. I mean, sometimes you engage with people and they're so deep in some kind of emotional state of anxiety that the only way to push them out of it, because that's like root chakra stuff, is sometimes to just like confront them with it. And that's very delicate work, because you cannot push too far, but sometimes you just have to say, yeah, sorry. And it's like somebody wants to give you a compliment and you realize, why do they want to compliment you? Usually if people compliment you, then they have gossiped about you before. So compliments are whitewashing. It's whitewashing their thoughts. It's whitewashing their deeds, and then trying to make something else out of it. Now I'm clearly in a state of channeling. I'm trying to just channel, to be like a channel. I just bought some instant coffee, but even without the coffee, I'm in that state. I just need to do something. I need to keep going because energy is flowing and I need to let it go. I need to keep channeling energy into things without losing track of what I'm actually doing. And that's really hard. I mean, I'm seeing myself doing so many things. And if my mind is clean, then seeing myself doing things will be like, ah, nice. Right? What a nice vision to do it. But if you have a dirty mind because you've stopped doing your sadhana, or you never asked what your sadhana is, you never asked what you can do, what your job is, what your work is, what your purpose is, and now you're stuck and everything's too loud and you're just annoyed and nothing works and it's just a disaster. It's this place. Okay, what's the place beyond the pines? It's a movie. I like the idea, but I let go of movies and I started moving. Right? It's like movies moves nothing. What do movies move? Move people to the cinema. Move people to the couch. It's like, you know, in order to have a clean mind, you have to throw stuff out. And this is so hard to understand because you are an energetic being. So once again, and I have talked about this probably multiple times already, you have to look at everything you have. Look at everything there is in the space that you are occupying at, you know, any given time. And then you say, what do I have in here? What do I have in here? What does this place represent? What is it? You know, what is the image that I'm creating with the stuff that I have in my apartment? So now I chucked, which means I threw out all my Blu-rays and my DVDs because they no longer satisfied me. I could no longer believe that I need these things. Okay, I have one thing, which is now I got rid of all the DVDs and Blu-rays, but I'm keeping it open for myself that if there is possibly occasionally a movie, I may go to the cinema and watch it. But only if I cannot resist the urge and I feel like it's super important that I'm gonna do this. But every time you watch something somebody has created, you open your mind to their mind, and then you have to work hard to, but once you know how to clean it, but that's the problem. Do you know how to clean it? Well, because every time you dive into movies and these things, or content from people that have unclean minds, you get stained again. Every time you get stained again, sometimes you cannot help it because you're somewhere and there's a TV running, and then you kind of like get drawn into it for a second, and then there's an image, there's an idea, there's people that are actors, and actors are liars who pretend they are something they are not, while at the same time, of course, it's actually impossible to, you can mimic being someone because you learned different words, but in the end, you're still, no matter how much makeup and how much perfume somebody smears onto you, or you do yourself, in the end, you're still whatever is inside of this thing. And there are people who can see this. And this is where Alan Watts talks about the mind in a clean state. Where Alan Watts says, I can see you twinkling at me from behind yourself. It's like you're standing behind yourself and you're projecting an image. And this image is looking at me. But it's not really you. But the reason you are doing this is very simple. Why are you doing this? Because you realized that everybody's really dirty around here and they want your light because they cannot see theirs anymore, because they've become lazy and they're stuck and all the stuff that comes with these things. And now they want to get your light because, there's just, their candle is kind of off. And because their candle is off, they try to steal your flame. That's in Avatar Aang, the series, where Zuko and Aang go to the Masters, the original firebenders. And Aang has a less experience to keep his flame burning. So he's insecure. The flame turns off. And suddenly he tries to get at Zuko's flame, and then Zuko's flame goes off as well. Which means that in the end they have nothing to show for themselves but themselves. And then they start moving. And that explains very well. Now I'm relaxing again. I don't know why. So, I bought this stove and it runs with gas. Now I told my neighbor, this old lady that lives downstairs, that I'm planning to do, like get a gas bottle. She told my landlady, which to me counts as ratting me out. You could also say it counts as helping me to be honest, because I would have just done it without asking. And now my landlady said, yeah, I'm not allowed. But I looked it up online. Okay, why am I not allowed? Because they're afraid that I'm gonna set the entire house on fire because I'm cooking with gas. Okay, electricity can cause fires. So it's just stupid. Everybody's stuck in fear. Fear of all these consequences that never happen. Fear of other people's opinions. Fear of all kinds of things. And that acting according to your fears is already a sign for the mind in an unclean state. Because there's too much darkness in your being, and you never learned to mix in the light. So you see there's fear, but then you engage with it. But everybody always runs away from it, and I'm like, do I look stupid? I think I know how to handle gas. I mean, I'm an engineer. I know how to do these things. But they're just afraid. Now, I'm in the position I want to cook with gas, and I know I am going to cook with gas. The question is, how am I going to get there? So now my mind is fairly clean, but I too have things where I feel like I'm stuck. So I have reduced, but I'm in the phase of building up. This is also about grounding and all that kind of stuff. Which means that I have to see the way now, because I can see the light. I'm the guy with the vision, remember? So I've been shown the light. This is the way. I'm a visionary. I'm walking it. No. So I know what my intentions are. And I just started working hard. Helping wherever I can. Doing the jobs that I have been entrusted with as best as I can. And then giving emotional support to people who are struggling. And I'm dealing with people who are maybe completely dark, and I have to bring them the light, which is why you cannot continue to masturbate. If you want to share your light, you have to shine bright. Which is the difference between what most people consider a star. It's just something that's been put on a pedestal and then acted like, oh, look at this guy. Tom Cruise, wow. And I say, what a liar. Because that's not his life. I mean, he's not the guy in the movie. He's just acting according to a script, and then he learns what to say by heart. And then I say, I'm just making it up as I go, which is just life. So I hit record, there's no script, just have a general idea, and then I just, keep going. But now I'm also stuck. Because now I bought instant coffee, and I don't really know why. Maybe I have to push things through. I have to work on this book, Crazy Wisdom 3, which is 800 pages that I have to work through and fine-tune it. Today I did 4 hours of gardening. So at least I've got some kind of a job. You know, I'm part of a rebellion. You know, people that simply say, I'm taking responsibility for myself. And I'm rebelling against being forced to pay other people so they take responsibility for myself. So I'm rebelling against being forced to do something I would rather not do. And that's as simple as I can put it. But this is also could look cleaner. You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm seeing? You know? I'm not sure. I have a lot of stuff to do. I'm busy with other things. What I want to do right now is actually sit, because I feel my lower back is always problematic. I'm not sure about other people, but I'm also growing really fast spiritually. It's going to be interesting to see if I, let's say when, just to take a bit of pressure away, I feel like I will never masturbate ever again. It's possible. Let's say I manage. What's the consequences going to be like? My energy is already buzzing. It's like, wow, how is it going to be like? Well, I have to channel. I have to keep channeling. So I'm going to start slowly but surely doing crochet. I think there's going to be more community work. I'm just going to engage with people more. Maybe I'm going to be reintroduced to my wife. And maybe I'll never see her again. I'm just saying. There's lots of things that are possibilities. But we have started to kind of work together. So why am I drinking coffee again? Maybe it's just to have something to do. Maybe it's just to have a different taste other than tea. Because I did buy instant coffee. And I've never heard of this actually. It's agglomerated instant coffee. It's not the freezer dry, ice dried thing. It's agglomerated. I know what a conglomerate is, which is a type of stone that is, I think it has to do with lava that cools down, and there's pebbles in there and stuff. I don't know, I just want to sit down for a second. And then you sit down and you see all the stuff that you could be doing, or you feel like you should be doing, and you don't know what actually, you don't know what you actually have to do. But there are things which I feel like I should be doing, and then I feel like not doing it again. I don't know. I'm just doing what I can. But people continuously fail to see, what I'm all doing, and they always want more, right? They always want more. They piss on your lawn, and then they come to tell you how nice it looks. So I just had that neighbor that I told about. I'm testing people. Believe me, I just want to know if I can trust you. I'm testing people. I just have to see if I can trust you. I'm just saying. Because I am handing out lots of energy that has to go to the right people, to honest people. You know, I don't want to feed weeds. You know, I don't want to feed parasites. I would rather feed people who grow into strong trees. But parasites are the ones that gossip. And I think my neighbor is one. And I can see, because she and her husband, they've lived in this house, and for whatever reason, you know, it's people that wear sunglasses a lot, are often really dirty in their minds. I'm just saying. And it's hard to clean this unless you know how to clean minds. But as soon as I'm not around, you know, you're on your own again, so you have to do your own cleansing. But nobody ever does, you know. I walk around in bare feet, and while I'm there, I can keep you in check, but if I'm gone, you're on your own. So my neighbor and her husband are like, they cherish sitting around manipulating others because they fail to see how they can contribute. And now I'm here and I'm picking up on this, and I realize how they are, to a large degree, responsible for a lot of the gossip and bickering, you know, around here. Because they try to seize the power for themselves, because they were together, right? Husband and wife. And they use their power to bully others. And now I'm here and I'm sending away the bullies. I'm taking their respect away. Well, I'm just showing them that they have no respect. And I'm working together with people who were hiding because they were afraid to be bullied and to be manipulated and stuff. And now suddenly there's people that were living in the shadows and that come out of it and that say, oh wow, I can see the light again. And suddenly we're having a barbecue. And then there's this one neighbor, and I told her I want to cook with gas. And then she's like, told it to my landlady. Now, if I think overly suspicious about this, what does it say about my mind? Because maybe that's what they want me to think, or that's what they think I should think. You know, minds are very weird. Sometimes I think things, or I feel things that others are thinking. But then it's not my intention. Then it's what they think my intention should be, you know, as a reaction to what they just did. So maybe I'm just being tested, but at the same time I have to react in some way. And so I know my neighbors gossip. Maybe it's something they just do to stay alive, or it's just a symbol for uncertainty. Maybe it's some kind of a weapon, because they live in a state of fear, right? Not that the state is fear, but they live in a state of fear. And people who live in a state of fear, who are people who have an unclean mind, you know, often try to get you to get insurances and stuff. So what I feel like, to solve my problem, you know, I'd probably have to buy the house. But if I sit here right now in my circumstances, I cannot do this. So maybe I just have to accept this, but actually not. I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna bide my time and then wait. Because nothing speaks against cooking with gas. I checked the law, which they are trying to lean on, And it says that I am allowed to do this. But my landlord or lady can force me to have it checked and then taken into the insurance or something, which I think is ridiculous. Because I should be trusted. I mean, it's allowed to cook with gas. So they've got nothing to lean on. And I could always say, well, then just throw me out. You know, if I'm not doing what you think I should do and you think you've got the power, then throw me out, you know. So the mind in a clean state is very hard to experience because everything's so dirty all the time. But I have experienced it. You just have to be non-judgmental. And I would say that Zen, if you're in Zen, you're in flow, which means that energy is flowing freely, which means that you've got a mind in a clean state. Why I'm often uncertain whether or not my mind is in a clean state is because I still feel like masturbating. Plus my vision sometimes still gets blurry. And I still have lower back pain. And I'm just wondering if these are then symptoms of an unclean mind. Plus, I do still feel sometimes something like paranoia. There is still fear lurking around. So if I were just in the forest the entire day, I think it would be different. But as long as I'm here working together with other beings that try to lean on me, you know, however clean your mind is, you have to continue your cleansing, because it's not just your cleansing, perhaps, you know, you're cleansing others also. And that's kind of like hard work. Now I just feel like sleeping, or I drink a coffee and push through. Well, I'm not gonna do this recording at the same time as I don't want to sleep now. I cannot sleep now. I will not allow to sleep now. I don't know why, man, but I think I have to do something. Okay, so I just looked up a recipe for tzatziki, so I just keep myself busy now. The mind in a clean state. Well, you just do things. You can see yourself making cleaner art. Not clean in the sense like sterile, but you're getting better at translating your emotions into something. You know, I see art as movement. I see art as the way you speak. I see art as communication. I see art as, you know, images and paintings, but also cooking. So it's fine-tuning. You know, you grew into a tree, but I don't know, once in a while you can do a bit of pruning, just so that the tree, because nature does pruning, right? You know, if you've got a weak branch, it's gonna break off, and then maybe it's gonna favor another branch. And each branch is like habits, right? So there are habits that are kind of like healthy, and then there are habits that are less healthy. And whether you can see if a habit is healthy or not probably depends on your perception of what is. And if you run around wearing sunglasses, then I can tell you already that your mind is really dirty. You've got an unclean mind. If you feel comfortable wearing sunglasses, then you've got an unclean mind, because your eyes should, you know, in a way, sun gazing is a way to cleanse your mind, but it has to be, like gradually increasing it. I can see people whose eyes get like this. They don't see anything anymore. But you can cleanse your eyes by keeping them open with the right kind of diet, by going into the wind, going into nature and looking directly into the wind and letting the wind fill you up. Probably swimming, water, this kind of stuff. It's just cleansing. Now I just bought coffee. Okay, I want to see the difference. What's the difference between... I have a recipe for tzatziki, which I'm gonna make for next week's barbecue. Difference between ice dried and agglomerated instant coffee. What a weird question. This type of instant coffee is made by... Okay. I don't know, I just like knowing how things are done. I chose the agglomerated instant coffee over the ice-dried instant coffee. Spray-dried, agglomerated, and freeze-dried coffee, exploring the differences. Spray drying is a widely used method for producing instant coffee. In this process, a liquid coffee concentrate is sprayed into a hot chamber where it quickly dries into fine powder particles. Here are some key characteristics of spray-dried coffee. Spray-dried coffee typically has a fine and powdery texture resembling traditional instant coffee. Due to the small particle size, spray-dried coffee dissolves rapidly in hot water, making it convenient for quick coffee preparation. Spray drying can affect the coffee's flavor profile, leading to a milder taste compared to other methods. However, advancements in spray drying technology have enabled the production of higher quality spray-dried coffees with improved flavor profiles, whatever. Agglomeration is a process that aims to enhance the solubility and texture of instant coffee. In this method, spray-dried coffee particles are dampened with steam or water, causing them to clump together into larger granules. Here are the key features of agglomerated coffee. Agglomerated coffee has larger granules compared to spray-dried coffee, resulting in a more instant coffee experience. What's a more instant coffee experience? Like, what are you even talking about, man? Solubility. The larger granules of agglomerated coffee dissolve easily in hot water, allowing for a quicker brewing process. Flavor. Agglomeration helps preserve the flavor compounds present in the coffee, resulting in a more robust and closer to fresh taste compared to spray dry. Which is weird because it's spray dried. But then, it's like spray dried coffee and then brought into contact with water steam, which means how can there be better flavor? It's basically spray dried. And then freeze dried. Freeze drying is a more complex and time-consuming method of producing instant coffee. It involves freezing brewed coffee into ice and then subjecting it to a process called sublimation, where the ice turns directly into vapor without going through a liquid phase. Here's what you need to know about freeze-dried coffee. Freeze-dried coffee typically has a light and airy texture resembling porous granules or small pieces. Solubility: the porous structure of freeze-dried coffee allows for rapid dissolution in hot water, resulting in a quick and easy brewing process. Flavor: freeze-drying is known to preserve the coffee's natural flavors remarkably well, resulting in a more aromatic and full-bodied cup compared to spray-dried or agglomerated coffee. Which all makes no sense because any kind of instant coffee always tastes like instant coffee. It has its own kind of flavor. And that's why I wanted it. So it's just nonsense. This is words. People, so I ran into this thing now that my neighbor was apparently thinking of a way to kind of like. So now I know, I confronted her with the fact that she gossips. And I knew now that she ratted me out to my landlady. So she's playing dirty, if you know what I mean. I share something to her, and she's using this information to stop me from being able to do it. So I was working for 4 hours in the front garden of the house, which they asked me to do in exchange for a bit of money, which of course helps me a lot. And she still, while I'm helping to improve the general appearance of the house she's living in, she apparently cannot see the beauty in a young man working hard for whatever reason. So her mind is clearly in an unclean state, or otherwise she would have just kept it to herself, what I told her, and would have simply been a shareholder in the information I was prepared to give to her. Now, I rather speak the truth and then see what comes out of it. But now I knew that she did it because my landlady came to me, confronted me with it. So they're trying to kind of control me because they're afraid I'm going to set the house on fire by cooking with gas. It's completely ridiculous. Because I also said, it's not like I'm going hiking while the gas is running, So why should anything? Anyway, you know what I'm saying, right? And then I was with my landlady in the, does this count as gossip? I'm just explaining the situation. I was with my landlady because I asked her, she was here, she had to come to the house, there was something with the balcony, so she had an appointment, but it was pushed backwards. Yeah, I'm not stupid. I asked her if she wants tea. My father was here. We had a tea together. We sat in the garden, which I cleaned out. I made it pretty. I worked in it for hours. And we get along very well. I think, she likes me. She's of course older, but just like that, friendship, right? From spirit to spirit or something. And now my neighbor, the one that ratted me out, who I know is prone to gossip and dishonest methods, came to me, while I was with my landlady, and we get along well, very well. And now she came and she yeah, a bit like a politician. Yeah, Mr. Reusch, can I give you a compliment? I was like, nope. Because you cannot buy me with words. I'm not corruptible. At least not in that sense. If I can pick up on it, and I pick up on these things very well. She screwed up. She's playing dirty behind my back. She's, giving me faces when I'm not looking, right? And now she wants to, she thinks she can give me a compliment. I know what I'm doing. I don't need compliments. Because what is she going to compliment on? Ah, you have such nice feet. Yeah. Ah, you did very well in the garden. Yeah. I'm working hard. And I'm actually paying attention. Which is what you probably never did. Which is then, to me, not really gossip. It's just a statement. I'm staying to the facts. I can see you. You're kind of obese, you're chubby, and at your age you have dyed hair. So you're dishonest. So, end of conversation. I see who you are. Your words cannot save you in this world. You have to start working. Because things have clearly changed. And you lost track of who you are, so now is your chance to pick up a broom and start sweeping. But a lot of people don't want to do it. Because they're just too stuck, they're too heavy, they're like, I don't want to. Well, I ain't gonna force you, but life will. So you're gonna move on in one way or another. And people who just keep coming for words, are just gonna be rejected. I want to see deeds, and that's what I told her. You cannot buy me with words. I look at your actions, and your actions are, you cannot be trusted. And it's hard to say whether that can be changed. Why? Because if she was able to change, she would have done so. But I'm also really reluctant to leave people behind, but I cannot give you more than, it's hard to say you deserve, but the word deserve has also serve in it. So if you never serve anyone but yourself, you never help anyone, right? And if somebody comes to ask you for help, you're just like, I'm not gonna help you. This is how most people are. They just rather keep it to themselves than to give something away from their pie. And I like sharing. I share myself, but I share myself with people that I find acceptable company. So I like people that have a bit of a bite, that can show teeth, and that want to help, want to participate. That's the kind of people I like. I would never, I think, throw someone out, but you can count on it that they would probably, if she's the woman that I think she is, then she will probably, let's say we just go through the scenario, just to hypothesize, I don't know, right? I don't think I can destroy what's happening by talking about it, because then nothing would ever happen at all. Let's say I'm gonna suddenly start selling lots of books, and I suddenly have the money to buy the house. It's a possibility. As unlikely as it seems, it is not that unlikely. You never know. I'm just saying. Let's say that would happen. She would probably leave the house by herself. Simply because she seems to reject whatever, I am as an accumulation of myself. My actions define who I am. Your actions define who you are up unto that point where you realize that you no longer, or that you actually don't like yourself. I was at that point and I simply started to change. I used to be different, but I said I want to change. Partly because I met a woman that I felt like the idea of living together with you is really nice. And that inspired me, amongst other things, to sacrifice the old me and simply move on into, manhood. And that's a tough choice. So you need something. But at some point I realized, well, I don't know if she will ever return. Plus, if in the meantime she had sex with other men, or, kissed other men, or slept in the same bed with other men, or stroking and cuddling with other men, even massaging, I have no interest anymore. And that's simply an honest choice from myself, because then I mistook you for someone else. I thought you were strong, and it seemed that you liked me, and if that's the truth, then you could never stand to betray me by exchanging me for someone else. So if I made a choice with an unclean mind, and then I gained clarity and I realized maybe she was just more of the same, then I'm just going to stay by myself. And now you can ask yourself, well, is this coming from a clean mind or an unclean mind? I don't know, man. Because, there's the me that trusts, and then there is the me that experiences fear. And then there is the me that is also sometimes a bit realistic. I can live in the future. I can visualize things. I can be the visionary. I can, project myself into whatever possible outcome there is. But I also have to be realistic. I'm living alone in this apartment as a collection of my choices. I'm recording myself in some kind of diary. It's like a mind diary. And although I feel that there may be this woman, I cannot say what her choices are. So I've just been starting to read The Horse Whisperer. And I came across this passage where they describe the relationship between, I would say the protagonist is Grace, the daughter of this married couple. And the story goes that, it's a bit of a spoiler, of course, that he met, so he then is the husband and Robert, and she is then Annie, his wife, and they had a daughter together. But they met once in some kind of jungle hut thingy, and then it sounded like they had sex. I'm not sure, or maybe they didn't, and then they separated for several years, or they spent lots of time together and they kind of liked each other, I don't know, something like this. And then they separated, And then she had several sexual partners in between. And then one day, several years later after they met, he kind of called her and asked her to marry him. And then they married, and then they had a daughter. And when I read that, I realized, well, if that is who I asked to marry me back then, and if she just, just slept around and stuff, then I was mistaken. But I'm just gonna stick with my truth, which is, I said I'm gonna pick a wife. And if I picked a wife that is fond of cheating, then I will simply stay by myself. And then I can just be friends with women. And then I'm just going to suffer the consequences. So I also have stains that I'm trying to clean. But I'm also rejecting this woman heavily. Why do I reject her? Because if I manage to reject her, then her resolve to be with me is too weak. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like a stallion, like a Mustang, because I'm wild. And if she cannot overcome her fear of being together with me, then she's clearly not who I thought she was. So if I pick the right one, then she's going to see this as a challenge, and she's going to focus entirely on me. I want a child from that guy. And she's going to live her life making choices in favor of this vision she has had of me as her husband and she as my wife, and us together having children. Which means then she would do the same thing that I did, which is every time I was in a position where, because I had this vision as well, and I still think it's nice, just until now it never happened. It was never realized. You can say maybe it's going to take more time. Well, it's possible. But every time a woman came and offered sex, which some women did, I simply refused it. Like it wasn't even an option. Like it isn't, to me, it's not an option to give massages. And as sad as I find it, I'm not even sure if going to the sauna, like I feel like that's not even an option anymore. But I'm not sure if I'm a bit overly protective. But I just started to see myself more as an energetic being. And I feel like there are certain places which I find kind of disgusting. But at the same time, there were moments, and I mean, let's face it, I'm not in a position where I can just go into the forest and make a sweat hut. I mean, I could make it, but I'm also lacking certain things. But I think it's better to build up the energy and just wait until you can have a sweat hut again, instead of running to the sauna where it's run by electricity. So if I want to sweat, I can just go hiking. I don't have to go to the sauna. Plus, a lot of people go to the sauna just to see naked women or naked men, or just to have sex, or I don't know, it's a very unclean space. People are very judgmental. They look at your penis, they look at your biceps, they look at your testicles, you know, they look at, does he have hair? How does his eyes look like? You know, all that kind of stuff. And I find this very annoying. And so, I don't know, man. There's people that just cannot see clearly anymore. And all I can say is, well, I assume I know something about cleansing. I have done a lot of cleansing, and I have told a lot of people about cleansing, but a lot of people don't want to cleanse. They don't want to let go, because if you let go of a lot of stuff, then you have to keep going. And a lot of people do not want to keep going. So if somebody is reluctant to change and holds on to his or her ways, then I just let them do that. Because I think, or I feel more like, that everyone deserves to harvest what they've been sowing. And if you are sowing gossip, well, then you know what's coming for you, which is a lot of rejection. And that's just what I feel, a lot of rejection. Right? So every time you try to play your little games, you know you're gonna get rejection. Because my world is a world of respect. You know, I have been renaturalized. My mind is in line with the laws of nature, which is, you know, survival of the strongest. If you cannot stop lying, then maybe it's better to leave. I mean, I don't care if you dye your hair, but the fact that you do shows that you're trying to change something. But if you want to change something, then clean your apartment, start hiking more, change your diet, start changing the way you think. You know, if you want to change your hair, then you should change the way you think. I'm just saying. Because if your hair is brittle and out of shape and is lacking shine, no shampoo is really going to change that. It's just gonna, you know, it's just gonna give you the feeling it's changed, but it's not. You have to put in the work. In order to get better hair, you have to change your thoughts. You have to transform your entire, everything you send out, your vibrational field or something, you know? So you have to learn about channeling energy, and you have to work out your laziness. You have to toughen up. And I mean, I know how hard it was for me. I know that time is relative and age is relative and all that kind of stuff, but there seem to be transitions from I'm a baby to I'm old and I'm gonna die. You know, so there's a sapling, you know, and the sapling goes through certain phases, and in the end, it's gonna be a big tree if it gets there, and then, you know, at some point, it's just gonna die. So, however relative time is, there seems to be a certain order of things. I'm just not sure at what phase of my life I currently am. Is this gonna be like tomorrow? You know, next week? You know, like, is it gonna be 15 years before I'm gonna meet my wife again? Will I never meet her again? Have I chosen her so that I will be alone for the rest of my life? You know, how am I supposed to say? I do have a certain feeling, but usually everything else happens but the feeling that I have. So, you know, I just take it as it's coming. And a lot of time, nothing that I thought would come comes. You get what I'm saying? So I can only project myself to a certain way. So I just try to be living. I wake up and I feel myself, okay, tomorrow I have to do this and then I have to do it. Today I have to do this, but then I have to do it. And now instead of drinking a coffee, I feel like eating chips because I'm actually hungry. But at the same time, I feel like, I've worked hard today and I ate one packet of chips. So, sure, maybe I cannot sleep, but what else am I gonna do? Now I'm just recording a really weird video. So you can ask yourself, of course, how can you clean? You see how my mind is flowing through these things. So mind, I can eat certain types of food that you would think are unclean, whatever that is. Maybe you don't like meat. I can eat meat and still have clear thoughts and just do what I feel like I have to do. So mind and body, okay, so cannot be separated. I've got a strong mind, but I know I've got stains. I've got injuries, I've got cuts, I've got weapons. I'm a bit vicious, I'm a bit poisonous. I like to maintain certain seemingly weird habits, such as once in a while getting a bottle of wine and drinking it. Okay, how often am I to do this? Hard to say. Well, today I bought 2 bottles of wine, 2 packets of chips. I ate 1 packet of chips. I may eat another. But I'm not sure if I should drink more wine. Because how much wine should I be drinking? As long as I'm still doing my job, as long as I'm still moving, I prefer wine over beer because of the yeast. And I feel like if I eat too much yeast, it's the fungus that's taking over my mind, and then my thoughts become very unclear. Because then, yeast beings, yeast consciousnesses are kind of like overpopulating my mind. It actually happened. And then everything seems really dirty. So you have to do your cleansing, man. You have to make sure that the energy is flowing up your spine, through your mind, and fills you with light. That's your responsibility. You have to grow your roots and you have to reach, into the sky. You have to be like a tree. So hike barefoot, do whatever you must. Get yourself into nature. Take your car less and less. Just carry everything in whatever way you feel is adequate. And then pay attention. That's what I'm doing. And now I may resist the urge to eat. Just have a coffee. And then see what I'll feel like doing. Because I still have a lot of art recordings to do. So one symptom of a clean mind is that you know what you gotta do and you're doing it. Which is why nobody can come and get you to do stuff. You're then in a way incorruptible. Because you know who you are, because you've looked into the mirror. I mean, I'm meeting people who send me paranoid thoughts. And then I say to them, right, I mean, I can read thoughts. I suddenly start talking about aloud the stuff that they try to send me in my mind. That's like X-Men 2, or is it 1, with the striker guy and his son. And the son can get into your mind and send you thoughts. I've met people that can get into your mind. And I'm serious about this. If you open your mind, people can get into it. So I've put up barriers in mine. Plus, because I clean my mind as much as I can, if dirty thoughts start appearing, I know they're not mine, which is a very good position to find yourself in. Plus, I simply keep channeling as much as I can. So I realized that people are able to take over my body and make me do things I would rather not, such as masturbate. This is the truth that I find. I'm just saying. I have tested this. How? Well, last time I was in the park, there was somebody who portrays himself like a friend, but he just sticks around because he thinks I may have money one day, and then he thinks I'm gonna give him money, but I would never do that. He could participate, but then he would simply have to work hard. And that's a fact. I will not give money to people. But money can buy land. Money can buy a house. And then money can provide space and resources for people to get together that can stop worrying about money and focus on living, which is the idea of transitioning from this kind of capitalistic lifestyle into kind of like communal living. And for that, you have to, in a way, get rid of this money thing. And for that, you need people who see that money is a tool to bring people together, and then transition away from this thinking about money all the time and just being creative. That's the idea. Right? So you live in a world that's based on money, but you don't do stuff to get money. You do stuff because you want to do it, but you realize that you live in a world that's based on money, so you may get money for what you're doing, but you're just doing it anyway. You know what I'm saying, right? So people give me jobs, I would do them anyway, but they give me money for it and that helps. You know what I'm saying? And they even want to give me money for it because they like the work that I'm doing. Right? You see what I'm saying? It's a form of being appreciated and valued. And so there are things that people rather have me do than do it themselves or have someone else do it. So they would rather give me money for doing it, although they would have actually benefits of, having someone else do it and then being able to get tax back from it or something, because it's then official. Because I'm simply, they know I get it done. Plus, they like engaging with me. And then they have a reason to engage with me. Because I also take the time. I've got time. So I give time. I give time. Time is energy. And just let it flow. And I think I'm nice to be around because I have no, I'm not gonna fill you up and then have sex with you and then throw you out. That's not who I am, In that sense, I'm waiting for my wife. But who's to say what's gonna happen? You just have to be ready, all kinds of weird stuff could happen. So I'm just observing and then I react to whatever comes my way. Because telepathy and hearing thoughts is really nice, but it's also super surreal. So you sit in the park and you just came from a hike and you feel clean. And you're in the park, you put up your slackline and you've been slacklining, you recorded yourself doing, climbing a tree, so you feel you've got strength. There's no real anger. And then there, two people come and they kind of watch you and then you say hi. And then somebody else comes. You start engaging with him. And then suddenly you're in the park and you feel like you're hearing thoughts. Yeah, you should leave now, or otherwise, he's trying to send you like feelings. You're gonna get shot if you stay. And I just start reacting to it. I just feel something. There's somebody like probing me or something. Applying pressure to me inside my mind. Trying to wiggle into it or something. I'm just talking about how it feels like, right? Don't shit your pants. Just learn to be intuitive. Get back into flow. Do your cleansing. So what did I do? Well, I went back to the tables and I sat down and suddenly I started speaking and I said, well, I kind of let go of the idea of being shot because who's going to shoot me, man? Who's going to shoot me? So I just say it out open and this guy looks at me, he's like, oh, why are you saying this, But you can see in his behavior, this is, what I'm saying here runs on faith, right? I'm just saying this because I have experienced it. And he even admitted it. And then I said, well, I can hear thoughts, man. I can read thoughts. And then he tries to wiggle out of it. And usually people who try to wiggle out of such things do these things and know about these things. They're just trying to hide it because they use it to manipulate others and because they think they draw power from it. But it's just child's play. It's just what comes from an unclean mind or an imbalanced mind. And then I said, well, because he was saying something and I said, well, like you never hear thoughts from your neighbors. And then he said, well, I can tell you a story about that. So he admitted it. And that's all I needed to hear. And then this thing was done. But I realized something was coming into my mind. And I just reacted to it. But it's not like I don't actually hear words in my mind. There's something else. It's like a feeling. It's not even like an image. It's hard to say, man. Telepathy is really hard to explain. It's like intentions or projections, scenarios, but more like feelings. It's not like watching a movie, it's more like I don't know, man. Feeling or seeing where it is going. It's a form of communication, but it's completely different than sitting here and speaking with words. It's very hard to translate because sometimes you react to these things, and after you have spoken about it, it seems crazy, surreal, and otherworldly. Yep. So Ramdas said, gurus are mind readers. Well, a lot of people can read minds. It's just really hard to read mine because it's just like white noise. You know, it's like living with a reptile. You know, animals don't sit around thinking. They simply react. When they're hungry, they have to hunt. If they stop hunting, then they're gonna die. That's facing reality. But today you can just have a full fridge, but you never have to leave the house. So there are nothing is really pressuring you anymore. So you can become really wiggly. But, you know, a tree starts really wiggly. It's like wiggling into the soil and then wiggling up. But in the end, the tree has like a solid stem. And then the only thing that remains to be wiggly is like the tips of the roots. But the large part of the roots is like, you know, one giant mass rooting the tree into the soil. And then the branches are mostly, you know, hard as well, weather stained. But the tips of the branches and the fresh shoots are still kind of wiggly. So if somebody's looking for an outlet, I say keep growing. I mean, keep growing, not like industrial growth, but you yourself keep learning. Teach yourself new skills, pick up crochet again, start knitting, do something, contribute. I don't care how old you think you are. You know, just do something. What you think you can do, and then do it, and that's gonna clean your mind. And then you start having new ideas. Spend less time with your phone. Just be creative in whatever way you think is best. If you cannot cook, get yourself just, I don't know, buy the Hare Krishna book for vegetarian cooking. That's a good start. Or just buy a book on, I don't know, outdoor kitchen. Or buy a book on, you know, meat, whatever. Just get into it, but get better. Get better. Get a clean cooking book, not like some kind of junk. Just get a good, you know, sometimes these student cooking books are really good for beginners. Like, you can get a vegetarian cooking book. I would suggest you learn vegetarian. You learn a bit vegan. And if you feel like, you learn a bit meat. Learn a bit fish. Learn all kinds of things. Learn to make hummus yourself. Keep yourself busy. Stop eating all this junk food, you know. Reduce sugar, you know, just work towards these things. Set yourself goals. Learn about language. Learn about emotions. Do something. Do something. Keep going. Give what you can, but also pay attention to yourself. Okay? No, I'm probably gonna eat. But I'm not sure yet. Okay. Yeah. This is how it's gonna be.